The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Generations Radio, where the focus is on our seniors and their families. We are here each Saturday afternoon from 5 until 6 p.m., bringing you resourceful information with our radio team of professionals in the field of aging. Stay with us for the next 1 hour as we explore different ways to make life more exciting and meaningful for our extraordinary seniors. Right here on AM 690 The Answer. And now, here is our host and the publisher of Generations Magazine, Percy Ihara.
And welcome back and happy holidays to everybody listening today. This is Percy Ihara. I'm the publisher of Generations Magazine. And as well, we have our regular host here now, Miss Melissa Mansfield from Ultras Medical, a local gerontologist. So, Melissa, thank you for joining us again. And so, how's the holiday season coming?
Good, very busy.
Very busy?
We have the flu clinics coming up next month, so we're recruiting for nurses.
Flu
all
clinic?
island.
What do you mean by flu clinic?
Stop the flu at schools.
Oh, at schools, okay.
So there'll be all of our nurses will be going out to all the schools here on Oahu, public schools, and administering the vaccines for the flu.
Oh, okay. So nothing for seniors then?
Nothing for seniors, just school children.
Okay. That's good. That's good. I know you guys do a great job, but so you guys have a lot of nurses at Ultras Medical?
Currently, we probably have over 600 nurses, but that's all islands, and we're needing 500 more to for the next 6 weeks.
You
for
have
the flu.
600 nurses?
Yes.
Wow.
But that includes our home care division as well as doctor's office and retirement communities.
Because you guys place nurses in different facilities?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you also do home care, so you actually do both sides, right? You handle nurses, but then you also, I didn't know that. Yep. And you also work with families to provide, certified nurses aides or?
Home health aides, our home health aides have experience with their schooling as well as in a facility.
But are home health aides allowed to give shots, or is it just the nurses?
It is just licensed professionals.
Okay.
So we're just shy of nursing. We do more ADLs, bathing, toileting, and then chores. So light housekeeping, meal preps, and assistance to doctor's offices.
But you guys do home care statewide as well, or is it just on Oahu?
It's just Oahu now.
Okay. For now. You think it'll be moving to the neighbor islands?
We feel that if we do branch out, it's because we'll have more care managers like myself, because we really do take pride in making that fit. And also we kind of check up on our caregivers as well. We want to make sure that they're performing at a high capacity. And unfortunately, when we don't have care managers on the neighboring islands, we're not able to observe them.
Yeah, control that. But it's a growing need.
Especially on the neighboring islands, yeah.
Well, the cost of care is more. There are less doctors. They have farther to drive. A lot of times, I don't know what the percentage, we should find out the percentage of people that actually the kids move away. Most of them permanently will move away. Because I don't know about you, trying to leave your job, like my wife left her job in Washington, D.C. to move back to Hawaii to help with her mom. Was that 20 years ago now? She had a job here. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, can you imagine if you had to move to the neighbor island with his less job availability? Maybe your company doesn't have a branch there. It might be a lot harder.
It is a lot harder. You know? Opportunity is it's not as abundant on our neighboring islands.
But they're going to need the care.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's more costly. Medicare, I know the programs are getting limited, and the cost is going up for some plans. And it's just something I think we need to be more aware of. So if you have relatives on a neighbor island, I think you might want to start looking at all the resources out there and find the resources earlier, because it's just a matter of time when they're going to need some form of care. But anyway, this is the holiday season. And so I thought about who can I, because we see families. In fact, the Generations magazine just coming out now, our December, January issue the title is Togetherness, a Family Tradition. And it actually features my parents, Les and Shirley Ihara. And talking about family traditions and things that we do when we meet at this holiday season is really to talk about how is everything going, what's life like. And it's really important for people to start asking probing questions, and start figuring out how your parents are doing. I would recommend if your parents are getting older, like in the 70s and 80s, if they have health issues, really need to kind of go with their doctors and see how everything is, because if anything happens, you need to know who their doctors are. So it's really important to stay abreast of their health, let alone the financial, legal issues. But anyway, one of my favorite guests here, who actually just came on last week to the KITV's Aging Well segment, is Miss Annette Pang. So welcome to the show, Annette. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Percy. And thank you, Melissa.
So, Annette, give us, our listeners, our background. Now, Annette is in the Generations magazine, and give us our background of your experience. You have actually probably more years of experience than I do in aging, right?
Well, I only have that experience because you definitely, Percy, are doing amazing work, especially with your parents who are aging so beautifully, and they are our example for how we should be aging.
Yeah.
But I got into this because 17 years ago, we started our care homes in Manoa. And we currently have 16 residents and soon to be expanding more to other care homes.
Right.
But in the process, I found out there were so many people struggling, families especially. Not so much the residents because they're already taken care of, but the families were just like really wondering about how to get along, how to make decisions, how to make financial decisions and decisions for how to take care of their aging loved ones. So I just kind of got into this because I felt that I could help people begin to talk to each other and start to communicate.
Right. And now, when we first met a couple of years ago, it's interesting. It was at a family dinner that my wife went to, and found out you're like Calabash cousins or relatives a little bit. And then she goes, "Well, this lady, she's a realtor, but she told me you were a realtor." I said, "Realtor? She's working with seniors." Oh, okay. And I got to know you and got to see what you do, and I've been to your workshops. And guys, if you're here, if you're listening, because I know a lot of you there listening today are baby boomers. Because I get calls and emails, and I see people on the streets every day, and they all listen to the radio show. It's because it's about their parents. And it's really important that we start talking to parents and figuring out what's going on in their lives, right?
Exactly. We are so non-communicative on those issues because nobody wants to talk about that. People start getting suspicious, like, what do you want to know for? And they just kind of withhold.
But that's coming from the parent, right?
That comes with the parent, exactly.
That old school day.
That's old school.
They didn't, you're always going to, first of all, guys, they're always going to look at you as a son or a daughter, right? Yep. So there's going to be times where you don't need to know, or why are you asking that? And they may get offensive about it. But it's really important as we age.
It is so important. Some people don't even have wills, or they don't want to even talk about what's going to happen if they can't walk anymore, or if somebody dies, a spouse dies sooner. So those are the questions that we can kind of help guide people to doing this.
But I know you took a course and you guys got trained in life coaching, right?
Yes, I got certified, and I've been doing this for many years, but I started maybe 30 years ago when I was helping people with their image, slim up and live, so that they can lose weight and just live their best life. I also used to help.
30 years ago, you were starting to do that.
I'm sorry?
30 years ago, you started to do that?
I started giving classes. And little did I know that I was going to incorporate this for the aging population, especially because I'm a baby boomer now and the elder myself. So I see, Percy and Melissa, that even as we celebrate Pearl Harbor this whole month, which is 75 years, it's really amazing to see how enemies have turned into allies, right? With the Japan-Hawaii connection now in Japan, all over the world. But we have war raging in our families.
And we're not talking about the Trump campaign, right?
We're not talking about the Trump campaign. We're talking about just a regular family.
I know.
I don't think the Iharas have this.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect, and no one's immune.
Yes.
Especially when our beautiful aging parents are no longer in the driver's seat. They just can't make the decisions anymore. They can't call the shots, call the family dinners, tell people what they want, their desires. And it's up to the family to come together and guess about those things. So this is what I hope to do, kind of unravel that process.
Yeah, but I've been to your workshops, and guys, if you've never been to Annette's workshop, they're free. right? They're always free. I highly recommend you go to them. Now, we'll talk about your website as well a little bit later on in the second part of the show. But your workshops, and I've been to a couple of them actually, and I highly recommend everybody, if you have a parent, because actually I ran into a friend of mine that was there with her mother, and I haven't seen this girl. I knew her as a girl. It's like probably 25 years ago.
Oh, really?
I knew her, and she was there with her mother.
Right.
And she has issues with a brother, and was there because of the conflict within the family. And they're very close. They're very close. The difference is when you start talking about mom's care, or where's mom going to live, or how we're going to pay for long-term care, what happens if you get Alzheimer's, that brother-sister relationship, is great outside of talking about mom, but when we have to talk about where she's going to stay at, or you work full time, you can't take care of her, but I don't work, so I can take care of her, but I get the house, and then, the spouse gets mad because they're always spending time at mom's house. What do you do? And so, I wanted to try actually start with that. How do your workshops go, and give our audience a little bit better idea of what they can look forward to?
Well, first of all, the communication collapses because people are blunt with each other. Or they just kind of blurt out their ideas, and they're very emotional. They say, well, don't you know? Mom just fell down. Every time you babysit her, she falls down. And it's like, well, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. And so these emotions are heightened. And people then start pointing fingers and blaming. And they are hoo-hoo. They cannot go beyond getting the plan going to settle out some of these differences. So what I do is to work with one person as a caregiver, and I kind of bring them through the whole process so they take care of themselves. 60% of family caregivers end up in the hospital themselves before their loved ones pass. And some of them pass before their mom and dads.
Wow.
Especially if one is a spouse.
Definitely.
You see that a lot more.
Definitely. I mean, if a spouse has Alzheimer's, or a mom or dad, I mean, this poor daughter or son, niece or nephew are going through a really hard time, and they don't know how to take care of themselves. So first I help them take care of themselves so they can sort out, breathe, and when they're going to approach somebody, they know what words to use, and they sort of relax, and they sort of frame out what they're going to say. I even help them write letters so that they can invite
to
their siblings, invite estranged brothers and sisters who just don't want to deal with this at all, and just to invite them to come around, and maybe they can pitch in, take a shift, or even say goodbye to their mom and dad. Mm-hmm. I've had that situation where they just don't believe that they're that close to going. And so instead of calling them on the phone and then just raising the whole emotional frequency again, say, well, why don't we write a letter?
I find denial is extremely high when they call me and they need help for mom, or their parent. It's, well, they were okay, last year. And then all of a sudden they're faced with, what do we do? Where do we turn? A lot of it is, where do we turn? Exactly. I spoke to a discharge planner, and she said majority of these conversations happen in the ICU, or happen while they're in the hospital when it's too late.
ICU.
Mm-hmm. It's very late. It's very late. Or what happens if somebody slips and falls, and then all of a sudden they can't recover?
Right.
And everything's failing. And you got to call relatives. You have to tell them, well, no, mom was fine. Or she's not choking on anything. Well, she's aspirating. The doctor says she can't breathe any longer. So how do you get everybody on one page? So in my workshops, I help people with skills so that they can encompass others. Instead of saying, you do this, or kind of shout out commands, just take a step backwards and say, I notice, I imagine, and then I feel.
Right.
And then you just create a really safe space for people to step into it on their own.
Yeah.
But I do like the writing, because there's actually a book. I'm not too sure if you've seen it. Mosaic. It's called Mosaic Moon. Oh. It's if you Google it, Mosaic Moon, Caregiving Through Poetry. It's written by a very well-known lady, Frances Kakugawa, on the Big Island, who's taking care of her parents. She lives on the mainland now. Both parents, I believe, eventually passed away. But it's a great book. I believe she came out a second book, but it's called Mosaic Moon. and it's
Nice.
caregiving through poetry, because that was one of the key things. She caregived for both her parents for many, many years, and that was the main outlet for her to write to her siblings, write to her parents about what she's been going through. But I think when you mention about caregivers that pass away before their loved one, and they said, they don't know how, or they don't have the time, or, they're all in. I'm going to take care of mom and dad 100%, but they don't realize that if they go down, who's going to be left?
Exactly. They go down. And then when, let's say you're my brother, Percy, and I say, Percy, I can't handle this anymore. I'm really stressed out. I'm not doing well with my kids, my husband. I can't keep my job. And then you say, well, stop whining about things.
Yeah. I got to work full time, and I got to take care of my kids.
I work, and you just stay home. And what else are you going to do? And I'm going, yeah, but I can't handle it. I have rash. I can't sleep at night. My mom's raging. She's a raging dementia person. She's yelling at me. And then you go, well, all you have to do is drive her to the doctors. And so we make these wide range assumptions, and nobody's really pinpointing exactly where each other is feeling.
Right.
So that's the first step we do in our workshops. We handle the assumptions. The next thing that we do is to handle our personalities. And
Personalities, what do you mean?
Personalities plus. So we all are born with personalities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I have a 1-year-old granddaughter, and already
Big personality.
in Singapore, she does this to her mouth when she doesn't get her way. That means she protrudes her bottom lip, and she just like,
Give them the face.
yeah. And
The
then
look.
she's like about 6 months. Hello? Who taught her how to do that? And then when she's now walking and pushing a little cart around, if something's in her way, she immediately complains. And the other kids who are playing with her, they're just like, well, so what? Let's just make another path. And then they hear her complaining. Then they like her complaining. Then they let her complain. And they hug her and kiss her. And then people
pattern.
move. So
Right.
all of a sudden, she's become this dominant leader.
Mm-hmm.
And the personalities are imprinted when we're born.
Right.
We can't change that. We can modify our behavior, but we can't change our personalities. If we have stripes, I can't say change it to spots. We're already born leaders. We're born followers. We're born people who take action fast, or they move slowly. People who are open and to people, or people who are guarded.
But can't you learn that, or can't you coach them to be more flexible?
That's what I want to ask my husband all the time. He's a total person who takes charge. And I say, oh, wait a minute. Let's take a break. Well, let's get this done. I mean, sure, he can learn it, because if I complain enough, and give enough grief, he might slow down. But basically, he's already going to be somebody who gets things done.
That's what men do. They
Punch list.
fix things, and they're leaders, right?
They fix things.
They fix
They're
things,
leaders.
yeah.
They're not going to spend time to talk about touchy-feely things.
No.
But that's
Come
not
on.
all men. There's some
Right.
men who are thinkers.
Yeah. But they don't get things done as fast as us leaders and
Well,
business people.
Percy, you're an example. You get things done. You had an idea. Gen Magazine is reaching people all over the world. I have people calling me from the Big Island. They're doing my journals.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a journal group led by Tina Stewart. Never met her except on Skype.
Really?
And she and a whole bunch of women are doing journals. And in a few weeks, I'm going to go and visit them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they'll probably join my mastermind workshops. So you see, you started with a little idea, and that's already a story in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you just kind of put things together, and you did it.
Well, Generations Magazine does a great distribution on the Big Island. If you go to any KTA store
Okay.
on the Big Island, Generations Magazine is there.
That's probably where she
So,
found me.
Yeah, I probably saw. And if you're listening from the Big Island, by the way, you need to grab the magazine within the first 2 or 3 weeks of the month it distributed, like this month, December, because it's gone by about the third week.
Wow.
Yeah,
Tina Stewart called me out of the blue.
Wow, good for
And
her.
she said, I have a women's group, Kapuna, and we want to do your journals. And so I said, great. How'd you find out, Gen Magazine?
Well, you need to let me know before you go. That way I can put you in touch with the Office on Aging over there. They have a room they can do workshops in at the ADRC in Hilo.
Oh, great.
And I know the director over there as well. I see him every month. He comes to Kupuna Caucus. Chemo, what's Chemo's last name?
I know Chemo. I don't know his last name.
Chemo, that's okay. I like that name.
Yeah, he's a director on aging over there.
Chemo and Hilo.
Yeah, at the Hilo ADRC. But they have a great community. And like I said, on the neighbor islands, it gets to be more difficult. They're more spread out. It's more costly, but they're very close.
Yes, exactly.
So I can put you in contact there, and maybe you should try and schedule a workshop at the ADRC facility.
I'm just thinking that but that's what started. That's what is continuing from your work, Percy.
For
so
you.
You're a man who takes action. You're what we call the directors.
No, I'm just a facilitator.
I don't think so.
And I just set things up, and you guys run with it. You guys do all the work. Like I said, you talk the language I talk about. But like I said, this is just the holiday season where we get families together. And I love your workshops, and I recommend everybody to go to the workshop. But how do you get them there? How do you get and say, well, Melissa, my sister, mom, I'm thinking about mom, and we need to start talking about mom's issues. And I know you have an opinion, and I have an opinion, which is fine, but my opinion is right? But you need to
Absolutely.
understand. So, how do you get people to the workshop?
It's really an interesting dynamic because usually it's one person.
Right.
The person like Percy, who's a leader, director, and sits in the driver's seat. We found the statistics are people who want to take action and they know something in their family is broken.
Right.
And they don't know how to fix it. So they use me as like kind of a sounding board so they don't have to directly talk to somebody else.
Actually, now that I think about it, when I went to your workshop a couple of times, I did notice only it's either one of the children and maybe their spouse, but it's just the children and their mother and father. But yeah, you didn't see 2 or 3 children together.
Not so many. So one person is like the one who kind of stands out and says, something's wrong, let's fix it. And then they slowly, this is what I'm doing now with a person who's graduated from one of my courses, the mastermind course for peacekeeping. She started it, and then we kind of went through her whole family as she invited everyone else. And now I'm coaching even a niece of hers.
Really?
Yes. So we're going to another generation because when you want to fix something, you have to kind of fix and change patterns for the whole family.
Right.
It's a paradigm shift.
It is.
Yeah.
So
And
it's like they go out and gather the information and they bring it back to their family.
if they listen to them,
Yeah.
that's the problem. Sometimes they're not receptive because the director personality might not be warm and bold. They might just say, let's do it. One,
Right.
two, three.
I get those calls all the time. I know my mom needs care, but my sister's taken over, even though she's not the medical administrator. Yeah.
Exactly. So we have those little conflicts. But if we go through these exercises that I go through, we look at how the family is not operating well. There's kind of
Not a unit.
dysfunction in there, but we put the fun back into dysfunctional.
Okay.
So we're good at that.
We got to take a short break pretty soon, but
Okay.
you sent me some notes to talk about, and I like this one note here. When people talk or the families come together, they don't follow the golden rule.
Right. Oh, right. You know what the golden rule is? It's do unto others as you want them to do unto you. But Dr. Tony Alessandra created this platinum rule, which is treat others the way they want to be treated. That's a big shift.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how I would deal with it with
So
my family. and
how
my
are
friends.
you, Percy, in your family?
Well, I like to get things done, so I'm not the most patient person.
Right.
So, and I think if we can fix a problem today or tomorrow, not next month, that would be very difficult for me to be really patient.
So how much time do you spend talking to people who have a request? Don't you want to get things done like chop, chop, chop?
Well, I do once we find out what the issues are
Right.
and we lay out the options. But I like to be proactive versus reactive, so I like to get things done ahead of time. That's just my personality.
So if I'm going to talk to you, Percy, as my brother, I'm going to say, Percy's not going to have very much time. He prefers to get things done. He's a man of action. So I'm not going to dilly-dally in how I'm going to talk to Percy. I'm not going to say, Percy, the other day I went to the market and I bought this, and then I came home and I began to think about something, and then you were thinking, get to the point, Annette. Stop talking on and on and on. So if I really follow the platinum rule, which is treat you how you want to be treated and your personality, I'd say, Percy, you have 5 minutes. All I need is 5 minutes. And you say, well, what is it? Text me. Then you say, no, I got to talk to you. I noticed that Auntie so-and-so is beginning to fall down a lot more, and I really think she needs a wheelchair, but how are we going to tell our cousins to buy a cane or how to buy this? And then you say, well, what have you done? You say, I've done A, B, C, D. None of it's worked. I'm going to you now. Tell me what you would do. Yeah. Right there is like, so efficient because I'm treating you the way you are.
Yeah, but everybody has to buy into it. But interesting conversation on that. And so we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back, talk about more about your workshops, your website, because I'll tell you, you have some great and valuable information that all families could use. So stick around. We're here with Generations Radio with Melissa Mansfield, and I'm Percy Ihara with Generations Magazine. We'll be right back.
Be right back with Percy Ihara from Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
Moon Physical Therapy is here to help you back to recovery. Moon Physical Therapy is located on Ward Avenue across from Sports Authority. Physician prescribed for motor vehicle accidents, workman's comp, or that body pain that comes from rushing to play without warming up. Also event cardiopulmonary rehabilitation with our one-on-one patient care. Moon's Aquatherapy heated endless pool allows for low-impact exercise with less pain on land. We will give you the right exercises to get you back to health. Ask your doctor to prescribe Moon Physical Therapy. Moon Physical Therapy. We achieve results.
Aloha, this is Martha Clopin.
And Al Harrington. Choosing the right Medicare plan not only saves you money, it also helps you avoid headaches and heartaches down the road.
We want to remind everyone
to listen to a Medicare Moment with Martha, Sundays from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we help answer important questions on Medicare so you can stay healthy, wealthy, and wise all year long.
Call me at 543-2073, 543-2073.
I was an addict from the age of 13. I finally decided it was time for a change. I walked into the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center, and that got me ready for the real world. Now, I choose to be guided by Jesus Christ, and today, I'm building a powerful and promising future, free from drugs and alcohol.
Please shop at the Salvation Army family stores. With our discounted sales, your support through your purchase helps men live a clean, sober, and productive life.
Got Vegas on your mind? Get Vacations Hawaii on the line. Vacations Hawaii offers weekly 4 and 5 night Honolulu to Vegas packages, which include 3 meals daily from $6.99. Stay at Hawaii's favorite casinos: California, Fremont, Main Street Station, and Orleans Hotel. Vacations Hawaii will get you there in comfort on deluxe wide-body 767 planes with complimentary in-flight hot meal service. Vacations Hawaii's frequent flyer program gives you future travel discounts and credits. So if you're ready to win big, call Vacations Hawaii at 591-4777 or visit pointVacationsHawaii.com.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy Ihara from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690 The Answer. focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
And welcome back to Generations Radio. Our new issue is out, Togetherness, a Family Tradition. It actually features my parents, Les and Shirley Ihara, on the cover, talking about family traditions. And I'm sure a lot of you out there have parents like ours that, do the monthly or weekly dinner to get to see the kids and the grandkids. We only do it once a month now because we have too many people. And it's hard to find parking spaces sometimes at people's houses. But it's a great, it was actually kind of a tribute to them. But we always want to talk about family, and what better role models that we have than my parents have really given a lot to our community, to our family. So thanks, Mom and Dad. You can go online, generations808.com. You can also email us from there or just give us a call. My number is 234-3117. You can call or text me, leave me a message. But we're always looking for new stories. Next year, we're going to really bring out our calendar, our Generations Magazine calendar. So you'll see a bunch of events that'll be there every week, from everything related to aging statewide. So you'll see that coming out next year. We're working on that right now. But I did want to mention you can pick up our magazine at over 200 locations. You can go to generations808.com to look at the distribution list, or on page 3, right there at my nieces and nephews. Actually, these are great grandkids of my parents. As we're babies, they're like 3 or 4 years older now. But there's a whole bunch of places that you can pick up the magazine. People always ask me, now, where can you get the magazine? And a lot of times they don't realize it's where seniors are. So we're at the public libraries, the YMCAs, Vacations Hawaii, selected times, longs, and Safeways, all the retirement facilities, and every doctor office in the state, over 385 doctors in the state. Every library in the state of Hawaii, I believe it's close to 50 now, but all the retirement facilities. So check them out or just go online. You can also subscribe. It's only $2 an issue, mailed directly to your home or office. So check that out. But anyway, like I said, this holiday season was coming around, and we're here with Annette Pang, life coach. Your website is lifecoachvillage.com?
Yep, it's AnnettePang.com.
Oh, Annette Pang. Annette Pang. But it's going to switch?
No, it's just going to stay AnnettePang.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so we'll put out your workshops later on next year. But so Annette, this time of year, we're dealing with families, and I know Melissa talked about she's got clients, and you hear stories every day. And we talked about the golden rule and the platinum rule. What is this other one here? It's hard it would be hard for me to adapt to my other siblings or maybe my friends' personalities. So I just give in and say, okay, you run it. You let me know what you need. I'll be available when I'm available. We all care about our parents, but we all have to work. We all have kids, right? And if I don't live close to mom and dad, like they live on the windward side, I live in town, kind of hard, don't you think? So can you expect me to?
It's very difficult, but you can participate in the way that would suit you, Percy. So if you say I can only do weekends, or if you live in Nebraska, you can only do like a shift once a year.
Right.
And I do have people coming to my care home who spend maybe a month out of a year, or 2 or 3 weeks out of a year, and that's all they can handle with their work and their own commitments. So we can't expect you to be there all day, every day. And therefore, the family kind of gets together and figures out, hey, I can portion this out. You can do this, I can do that. But not to leave anyone out so that they feel that they can evade it or avoid it or just escape from it. Because that's where the moms and dads feel like they really want peace, and they don't want to see anybody fighting at their final moments.
Right.
They really know that there's bickering going on, and they can't pass in peace.
Yeah, and then it tends to have a lot of animosity when one sibling is taking full responsibility. I see a lot of anger, when they're like, well, I took it on because nobody else would do it. And then it's like, well, did you ask for assistance? And then a lot of times they're like, well, no.
Yeah,
it's my responsibility. They took care of me. And it's just simply maybe just asking or delegating. I know with my sister, my mom doesn't need a lot of hands-on care, but she does need a lot of coaching, counseling to do things. And my sister will call me up, and she's very, she's not as patient as I am with my mom. She's kind of like, Percy, let's get things done. A, B, and C, check it off. Where I'll listen to my mom, reason why, because a lot of times they just want to be heard. But I will tell my sister, I don't live on the mainland, you do, so you need to take mom to the doctor. You need to help her clean out the garage because she's physically unable to, where I might be able to help her monetarily.
Exactly.
So it's to delegate that.
So that kind of help that you offer is already very big, the financial contribution. Some people would do that. They'll just say, financially, I can contribute. Or I can get maybe a new bed for mom. Or I could make sure that she really has extra PT going on. And to help you solve the situation where there might be some tension between you and your sister, you could say, what's her name?
Jennifer.
Say, Jennifer, I really respect you for being a kind of a hands-on person to take it on. And you've done that all your life. I looked up to you, or you looked down to me, or whatever it was, because you were able to do this, that, and the other. So you build that bonding and rapport. Just say, and during this time when mom is unable to do the same things as before, I kind of see that this role is taking place, but I was wondering, how might I offer my ideas too? Because I don't want you to feel isolated, like I'm not there for you.
Yeah, that's a good point, giving them validation.
Exactly. That's the first thing. And that's what I call in my coaching classes the bonding and rapport exercises. Instead of just barreling in and saying, well, you've always been the bossy one. And, and just like before, you're telling me what to do again.
As the older adult.
Yeah. That happens quite a bit, especially in
All the
Oriental
time.
families. Well, maybe in mainland families too.
Well, she's howling.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of times
families do it.
the older sibling controls everything. I know several families, their older sibling is the one. But so how do you handle that then? If you don't agree with that.
So you just make sure that the older one, I'm just doing this right now for a family, that person has begun to take some rage management courses. Rage, because she feels that she's got the right answers all the time, so she's impatient. And she's now learning to take a step back to include others, even though they might be a little bit slow and they should do something a little faster. She's now seeing the benefit. Otherwise, there's going to be total bombing of each other. So she's seeing the benefit to really get people to come around in their own way and time. So it's just like Jennifer, you have to, Melissa, speak to her in her language, but she also has to listen to you in your own temperament and pace. And so these are the kinds of things I help with. In my case studies and my role playing, we actually take the step back to make sure that we know everybody's personality.
Well, speaking of personalities, so you have a list here of cocktail drinks.
Exactly.
And during this holiday season, we have spicy apple cider tea, eggnog with rum, or hot chocolate with whipped cream and chocolate sprinkles. I don't drink any of those.
What do you drink, Percy?
I drink water, 1 cup of coffee a day. I might drink a juice, but I mean, that's the non-alcoholic drinks. Yeah.
Okay.
Christmas parties.
Well, these are granted Christmas drinks, and because you don't get eggnog through the year, right? But I just came back from Tahoe, so we had hot chocolate all the time. But basically, I'm just using these drinks as a symbol to divide up the different personalities. So even though you don't drink apple cider, you might be an apple cider where it has a lot of ginger, hot cayenne pepper, lemon, and that's what my family calls gasoline, because they are on the go. This drink is just like you, Percy. It represents the director person who takes action. You control, you achieve, you're goal-oriented, you're no nonsense, and you work and think quickly, just like this drink gets to you.
Okay.
The second drink, if you were to do a grid, let's say 2 at the top and 2 on the bottom, 2 boxes at top, 2 boxes on bottom, you put the hot, spicy apple cider at the bottom. And then next to it, you put like chamomile tea. And those are for people who are what we call the thinkers. Chamomile tea is something that people are self-contained, they're a little indirect, they're logical, detail-oriented, and they focus on the trees, while other people, like the people who drink eggnog, they dip their little cup into the punch bowl and they get a lot of eggnog. They're socializers and they see the whole forest. They like to have fun. They're socializers and they really are kind of party animals. They're charming and they have a lot of warmth. They build alliances, but they might not complete their goals. Those are eggnoggers. And next to the eggnoggers, we have the hot chocolate people who are feelers. And those are people who have the cocoa sprinkles on it, whipped cream. They're warm, supportive, nurturing listeners. They're devoted, they're supportive, they're reliable teammates. So if you put them all together, you put 2 on the top, you put the hot chocolate on the left, you put the eggnog on the right. Those are people who are kind of people-oriented and very open. The people at the bottom are what they call the chamomile tea and the spicy apple cider. And those are less open, more goal-oriented people, not as warm and fuzzy, and they act that way. So if we have 4 personality types, how are you going to relate? Melissa, what do you
With
think
the hot
you
chocolate. I think I'm a chamomile tea.
Oh, you
person.
are?
I think I'm a little mixture of both.
Yeah, we are a mixture of everything. I want to say that because there are certain instances where we have to step up to the plate, but there's a dominance to you. So you're a chamomile tea?
I can take charge when I have to, but then I also like to listen. I know with my mom has things going on, I don't react and say, well, that's not right. I let her verbally say what's going on and let her complain and go off. And then I'll come in and say, well, Mom, why don't we look at it a little bit different? So I'll try to switch that personality. It's kind of like you said, the golden rule, treat others as you would like them to treat you. I also have a big belief is put yourself in their place.
Oh, yeah.
So
Walk in someone's shoes.
So before I make judgment, I look at their life and I like to get the whole picture before I say, this is a better option for you.
That's great, Melissa. But there are other people who just blurt out, right?
Absolutely. That's my sister.
And so therefore, there lies a little chemistry here
Yes. Yeah.
that could create intensity and it could create long-term stress and disconnection if it's not fixed.
Right. And then there's the other sibling, the brother that doesn't get involved at all. So you always have that animosity of, who's going to take charge when nobody else is.
Exactly. But was he invited to?
No, because I think we both took it on ourselves that he financially and mentally, probably he could in a sense, but he has anger issues. He could probably benefit from the
rage management.
Rage management, absolutely.
Exactly. And he's angry at your mom, maybe, and dad? It's never got settled?
Never got settled.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a very commonplace?
It's so common.
Especially,
Absolutely.
I'm 56 and, things that when you grew up, I have a very good friend of mine, I think I mentioned it before, where he came back from the mainland. His 2 sisters stayed on the mainland. He came back 3 years later. He said, you know what, one of you guys got to come back and help me out with mom and dad, because both by then were bedbound. One sister came back 5 years later after a total of 8 years of caregiving. They both eventually passed away. And then one sister on the mainland said, you know what, I need my 1/3.
Oh.
And the family didn't like that.
Yeah.
And so they called me up, say, he's a good friend of mine. I said, what do I do? I said, well, you can give it a 1/3. She's right. It's not her legally responsibility. Yes, you guys are angels. You did this for, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. But if the legal paperwork says that's what she gets, then that's what she gets. So how do you handle something like that?
It's very difficult. And the discussion has to come out where people are going to vent. And and other people have to listen. So we need Melissa there in the room when somebody's just kind of going on and on and on. And that's where you can get even a mediator in the room. And I act as a coach where I can help people, guide them along so that there's conversation and they could stop blaming. They could first of all honor everybody's personality, and they could say, well, I could see where so-and-so wanted a third because of the work that she thinks she deserves, and we really should sort it out and then kind of have everybody move to a consensus so that there is forgiveness. It's very difficult.
Challenging.
It's
very
challenging. It's very challenging, especially when people feel entitled.
Absolutely.
Because they say, oh, well, I've been working like 10 hours a day and you never come up, or you just come around once a year for Christmas time.
It's kind of like going through the stages of death. You have that blame initially when, like I did this and you never helped me and you're bickering back and forth. And then you come into well, what are we going to do about it now? Because you've already complained, you've already vented. There's only so much you can do and only so much people want to listen to. And then you have to just come to that together, or you don't. And then you stop talking to your siblings
and you escape. But I think, hey, you never escape. You think about it all the time. You take it to another life, another home. You think you're running away, but you really are not. And I can't think of any other institution, organization like a family.
Right.
Because it's fraught with old stuff. And historical stuff means that we know each other really well, but you don't really. Every year changes.
You move apart.
You move apart, or maybe there's 3 things in you that Jennifer doesn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's several things in me even my husband doesn't know about, because life changes all the time. But if he's going to be a director, how is he going to ask me, a warm hot chocolate, what I'm thinking about, unless I make it a point to share? So what we do is I have a lot of families coming together where we all talk on the same page. And it's a little bit painful at first, but when they think that they're honoring their parents, either past or currently in their life, and they want to protect their lineage and their family and their roots, especially for future generations, they think it's worth it. So I know we have to act like Mother Teresa's, St. Teresa's, but what else is there if we don't? There's going to be war. I mean, who would ever think Japan and Hawaii would get along today, right?
Yeah. Well, 75 years took them that long.
Took them that long.
Well, they celebrated 52, but what I think people realize is that we don't live perfect lives and we don't have perfect families. There's no such thing, and everybody's life takes different twists. And in my friend's case, I believe the one sister never came back to help take care of mom and dad, and so I told him, well, maybe just negotiate with her, tell her you give her 20% instead of 33% because you took care of them for 8 years. So I said, that's a good idea. 1 week later, he called him back. What happened? He's even more pissed because she said, I'm not taking 20%. You lived there 8 years for free, rent free. So I told him she's right. So you can either pay her 33% or take her to court or get a mediator. I believe he just paid her the 33%. He'll probably never talk to the sister again. Yeah. Unfortunately, that happens.
Yeah.
But, so how do you handle something like that?
So right away, when somebody kind of has a red flag, like right away, Jennifer and Melissa are dealing with something, you can start building some bridges before mom passes. Mm-hmm. Because once mom passes, it's just like, where do you, there's no more foundation to hold you together.
Right.
And then you start really slinging the arrows. So people have to learn how to invite others. And it's a long acceptance period to start saying, I notice, Jennifer, that this is happening. I imagine that you're feeling like you're the only one out there and I'm not helping you, and I've kind of ditched.
Right.
Along
no,
with
I hear that. You left to Hawaii.
Our brother, and some people actually go back. So she has grounds for saying, well, you should come back, Melissa. But then you could say, why don't we talk about it now? Because the last thing I want to do is to have us be enemies when we share the same DNA. We share the same mom. So air out where you're coming from. I'll air out where I'm coming from. And maybe we can find some common ground. And this is what people don't do until they crash and burn.
Right.
And it's very, very hard. I've witnessed a deathbed passing, and this happens a lot in the hospital, according to the doctor, where people are so French fried over stuff, they don't say goodbye.
Yeah.
Ouch. How about here's your parents who devoted their whole lives, and just because somebody is, hoo-hoo about something.
It's kind of like being the better person.
Exactly.
Stand up and I guess it's very difficult for people to really just say, you know what, I'm going to put something aside, because the better good is knowing that, I know in my life I want no regrets. And I tell my sister that when she's complaining about not so much having to spend time with my mom, but more, I have to take her here, I have to take her there. And I said, look at this as a benefit of spending time with her, because you're not going to be with her forever. She says yes, she might be cursing, in her mind, but it's true. you know, taking that opportunity, but also being the bigger person and saying, you know, I do understand that you're doing a lot for mom. And you know what I did do? Because she did a lot for my mom, I would send her gifts.
Oh, good.
Like wine,
to Jennifer.
To Jennifer.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
See,
spa
so you're
treatments.
building bridges.
Right. Because I know that, I mean, I'm not moving from Hawaii back to Texas, so at least I can buy her some wine and some massages to make her feel.
Well, see, already, Melissa, you're demonstrating what a lot of people should be doing, because there is this inequity somehow that somebody's doing a little bit more, someone's doing less. And so you're trying to build the bridge. And this is what, I mean, I'm going to ask you, what's the 10 best things to do? Because you probably can give me your list. And the more that people are able to understand and walk in the shoes, as you say, of Jennifer, or where you're coming from, the more we can really get together. There was one instance where this lady took care of her mom, and the mom did not want to give her any inheritance, and she wanted to give it to a sister who was never there. The other siblings said, we're going to make sure that this is not going to be our legacy. And at the end, when there was distribution, they gave that sister, who was the main caregiver, a share of this, whatever the family assets were. But I really like the idea that families have to take action. And for Melissa, for you to say, I'm going to be the bigger person, and instead of saying, well, you know, you should be happy, this is going to be really a great time when you think about things, just say, I can't tell you how much I respect you for the time and the love you're giving. And in fact, sometimes I feel a little jealous about that, because I'm not able to spend as much quality time with mom. But at the same time, I really honor you. And I just ask you to pardon me, and then just to welcome the idea that I won't be there. And you can, you know, have your hissy fit. You can, you know, stick pins in the voodoo doll. But can you please forgive me for that? Because
to validate.
Yeah, just to keep validating and validating. And Jennifer, how is it today? Is your heart palpitating? Or are you sleeping well? And as soon as you do that, people just say, oh, no problem, Melissa. It's
do
okay.
care,
Yeah, you care. All they want sometimes is for someone to listen. And then you can say, Jennifer, anytime you want to call, I will listen. I won't offer you judgment or criticism. I won't offer you any kind of solutions or try to fix it, but I'm just here to listen, because I love you so much for helping out.
And the next thing you say, and I'm going to bring you to Hawaii for a vacation.
Yeah, well, that already happened.
Did you really?
Absolutely.
Well,
and I bring my mom over here too to give her a break.
There you go. See, that's great.
We got a couple minutes left, but you brought up one thing about when the parent passes away, the foundation is gone. It's so true. So if you're listening out there, try and take care of it now. We've always tried to promote proactiveness, and so, and then if you could say, we got 1 minute left, what would you say to a family to make them understand that?
I would say, don't wait till it's too late. And your mantra should be to live and die without regret. Right. Because when somebody passes, Percy and Melissa, you know that there's just no way to get that moment back.
Right.
Right. People just feel so sad. I get that at funerals. So be proactive, be the director in you, be the thinker, be the socializer, be the feeler, so that you really can say, this can be changed. We can transform. Life happens.
Yeah. And we don't live perfect lives. So
we don't.
Do what you can out there. Annette, how do people reach you?
They can go to my website. Around December 20th, I'll have my online courses. They can learn more, and then I'll have some workshops this year.
And it's Annette Pang with 2 N's and 2 T's.
Yes.
AnnettePang.com.
Right. And they can find me in Generations Magazine.
Yeah, in Generations Magazine. So, Annette, thank you so much. Have a great Christmas.
Thank you.
Melissa, thank you so much. Great conversation. And I do hope listeners out there to be proactive and start talking to siblings. This is a great time in the holiday season to see how mom and dad's doing. But check out the new Generations Magazine featuring togetherness, a family tradition, featuring Les and Shirley Ihara. So go to generation808.com. You can give me a buzz or text me 234-3117. And like our Facebook page at Generations Magazine. Alrighty, everybody. Have a great week and happy holidays. Aloha and live well.